Welcome back to the Night Shift Journals. When we last left Emma Chen, she had just survived her first night in the ICU. She discovered a 20-year-old journal, received a cryptic email from a man named LC, and learned the most terrifying secret of all. Her father, Dr. David Chen, didn't die in an accident. He was subject number 13. Tonight, the investigation deepens. In Episode 2, Sarah's Last Days, Emma uses her day off to obsessively read the journal, forming a desperate timeline. She discovers her father was investigating the Lazarus protocol from the inside, just before he and the journal's author, Sarah Mitchell, both vanished on the same weekend in 2005. This is a story of a past that refuses to stay buried, and of a conspiracy that is still claiming victims in the present. If you're ready to find out what happened to Sarah and what Emma does next, make sure you've subscribed and turned on all notifications. And if you've ever had a gut feeling that something was wrong, a detail no one else seemed to see, let us know in the comments. But for now, the sun has set, and Emma is running out of time. Settle in. We're going back to St. Catherine's. Sleep, for Emma Chen, was no longer an option. It was a luxury she couldn't afford. Her day off was not a day of rest. It was a 24-hour sprint against a 20-year-old ghost. Her apartment, usually a sanctuary of sunlight and organized calm, had become a war room. The hardwood floor was invisible, covered in a mosaic of her father's old papers, her own nursing textbooks, and the high-resolution, cloud-backed photos of Sarah Mitchell's journal. Her laptop screen glowed, the cursor blinking patiently on a search engine. She sat cross-legged in the center of the chaos, the original leather journal open in her lap. Its musty, coppery smell was now a permanent part of her life. She read, and she read, and she read. She was no longer just a nurse. She was an archaeologist, dusting off the bones of a tragedy. And then she found it. An entry from July 28, 2005. Narrator's voice shifts. Has Sarah Dr. Chen from neurology cornered me in the cafeteria today? He knows he's been asking questions about the Lazarus subjects, about their blood work. He's smart. Too smart. He asked me why so many of our cardiac anomalies end up as organ donors for Dr. Krause's other research arcs. I lied. I told him I didn't know what he was talking about, but he saw it in my eyes. Dr. Krause is watching him now. I saw him talking to security. God, I hope Dr. Chen gets out. He has a daughter, Emma. Emma's hands trembled. He was investigating. He wasn't just a subject, he was a threat. She turned to her laptop. Her fingers flew. Search. Dr. David Chen. Car accident 2005. The results were sparse. A few digitized lines from an old newspaper archive. Local researcher presumed dead in tragic accident. Dr. David Chen, 38, of Boston, is presumed dead after his vehicle was reported to have left the road and entered the Mystic River. The accident occurred late on the night of August 14, 2005. Due to heavy currents and poor visibility, the vehicle was not recovered. Dr. Chen's body was never found. Declared legally dead in 2006, he is survived by his wife and daughter. August 14, 2005. Emma grabbed the journal. She flipped to the final, frantic entries. Sarah Mitchell's last entry was written in the early hours of August 15, 2005. Her father disappeared on the 14th. Sarah died on the 15th. It wasn't a coincidence. It was a cleanup. Emma snatched her phone, her thumb hovering over her mother's name. This was a wound she had promised never to reopen. She pressed call. It rang 3 times, then a familiar, warm voice, thinned by 3,000 miles of distance. Emma, honey, Is everything okay? It's late there, Mom. Emma's voice was rough. I need to ask you about Dad, about the accident. Silence. A sharp intake of breath on the California end. Emma, please. We talked about this. It hurts too. ... Double quotes, Mom. Where exactly did he die? What did they tell you? Her mother sighed, a sound of old, tired grief. They told me. ... They told me he was working late, that he must have fallen asleep at the wheel, that his car went off the Tobin Bridge into the river, the night of August 14th. But Emma... Her mother's voice dropped to a whisper. They never found him. Not a piece of the car. Not ... him. I always wondered if he just ... left us. He didn't leave us, Mom, Emma said, her voice hard as steel. He was at the hospital that night. I think he was murdered. She hung up before her mother could reply. She immediately texted the only person at St. Catherine's she trusted, Marcus Webb, a radiology resident. They'd come up through orientation together, bonding over a shared dark sense of humor and a hatred for hospital cafeteria food. Emma, Marcus, I need a favor, a big one, and it has to be off the record. Marcus, oh, off the record. Are we stealing kidneys? I'm in. Emma, not funny. Can you access old employee files from 2005? Marcus, 2005? Why, you want to see what Dr. Rivera looked like with hair? Emma, Marcus, please. My father's, David Chen. The reply took 10 minutes. The longest 10 minutes of Emma's life. Marcus, ... Emma, what's going on? Emma, what did you find? Marcus, I found his file. Or, I tried to. It's flagged. Restricted access. Administrative hold. Emma, that's not normal. That's not for deceased employees. That's for active investigations. Or classified personnel. 8 p.m. The clock on the ICU wall clicked, and the lock on the cage was set. Emma Chen walked onto the unit, but she was not the same nurse who had left 36 hours ago. The exhaustion was still there, a heavy cloak on her shoulders, but beneath it was a live wire of adrenaline. She wasn't just here to clock in. She was here to hunt. Rough day off? Tom grunted, seeing the dark circles under her eyes. You have no idea, Emma muttered, scanning the unit. Her gaze landed on Dr. James Rivera. He was at the nurse's station, signing off on charts. The man from the 2005 photograph. He looked ... haunted. His eyes were perpetually tired, his shoulders slumped. He was a good doctor. She knew that, but he was also a liar. She watched him as he did his rounds. He was thorough, kind to the patients who were awake, respectful to the ones who weren't. But as he passed the empty space, Sped 13... he did something subtle. He gave it a wide berth. He didn't just walk past it. He physically angled his body away from it, his eyes fixed forward, as if a powerful, cold magnet were pushing him away. He knew, and he was terrified. Night shift, Emma whispered to herself, is the place where we keep all our secrets, both the hospital's and our own. At 11 p.m., the ER called. Got a new admission for you, the charge nurse chirped, her voice gratingly cheerful. 52-year-old male, found down at a bus stop. Chest pain, troponins are through the roof. Full-blown STEMI. Cath lab just stented him, but he's unstable. He's all yours. The patient arrived, a pale, sweaty man, his eyes wide with the terror of a near-death experience. He was a John Doe. No family, no ID. Just the clothes on his back. "All right, sir," Emma said, her voice slipping into the smooth, professional calm she was trained for. "My name is Emma. I'm your nurse. Going to get you settled. Just need to start afresh for a line, okay?" The man just grunted, his hand clutching his chest. Emma prepped her kit. Alcohol swab, tourniquet, 18 gauge, needle. She took his left arm. It was covered in old, faded track marks. A history of addiction. But as she tied the tourniquet, she saw something else. On his inner elbow, separate from the other scars. A pattern. A series of small, circular, puncture wound scars. Healed, white, and perfectly placed. 5 dots, arranged in a star. Emma's blood turned to ice. She stared at the pattern, her own reflection staring back from the man's waxy pale skin. She knew that pattern. She had read about it, just this morning, in Sarah Mitchell's journal. Narrator as Sarah. July 9th, 2005. The Lazarus subjects all have the same mark. Dr. Cross calls it the injection site, but it's not one needle. It's a pattern. 5 needles, arranged like a star. It's where they push the experimental compounds. It's where they ... pull the soul out. This man ... this John Doe. He wasn't just a heart attack. He was one of them. He was a Lazarus subject. Her hands shook. Protocol, Emma. Follow protocol. But her mind was screaming. She fumbled for her phone, hiding it behind the curtain. She snapped a quick illegal photo of the scars. Proof. She finished inserting the 4, her touch automatic. The man was breathing heavily. He's a survivor, Emma thought. One of the 3 who survived. As she was labeling the IV line, the patient's eyes rolled back, and he began to mutter. Not in pain, but in a delirious, terrified sleep. 13, he whispered, his voice a dry rasp. Emma froze. Sir, what did you say? 13? They took 13 of us. ... I was number 6. He took ... 13. The man's eyes snapped open, locking on hers. They were filled with a cold, lucid terror. He said, ... He said he'd free us, the man gasped. Who? Emma whispered. Who said that? The man in the wall. The 13th man. ... He's waiting ... And then the man's eyes rolled back, and he was asleep. 1 a.m. The dead time. The ICU was tomb quiet. The patient in bed 6, subject 6, was stable for now. But Emma's mind was a hornet's nest. She had a living, breathing link to the Lazarus protocol, a man who was there. She looked at Tom, who was already dozing at the nurse's station, his head resting on a stack of charts. Covering the new admission, he'd called it. Tom, Emma whispered, I'm running down to medical records. Need to pull a hard copy of an old consent form? Be back in 10. Knock yourself out, kid, Tom mumbled, not opening his eyes. Just don't wake the dragon. The dragon, Emma knew, was Claire. Emma slipped out of the ICU, her badge key in hand. The medical records room was in the sub-basement. Level B1. The air down here was different, colder, heavier. It smelled of paper dust, and ... something else, a faint, chemical smell, like ozone. The room itself was a graveyard of beige filing cabinets. In the digital age, This room was a relic, holding the paper ghosts of patients long dead. She found the section, ICU Archives, -2005. She pulled the drawer for July. It was heavy, packed, tight. She began to flip through the files, but something was wrong. Pages were missing, patient charts from mid-July to late August, ... Entire sections of nursing notes were just ... gone. Not torn out. The binding staples were fresh. They had been professionally, methodically purged and rebound. This was not a random act. This was a cover-up. She kept digging. She found a separate drawer. Employee Incident Reports, -2005. Her fingers, dusty and cold, found the file. Mitchell, Sarah, RN. She opened it. The official report. August 15th, 2005. 2:47 a.m. Deceased. She scanned the dry clinical text. Officer determined subject. Jumped from roof. Level 10. Suicide. Determination based on ... Emma flipped the page. ... Based on witness statement and recent depression diagnosis. Attached was a psychiatric evaluation, dated August 8, 2005, 1 week before her death. But the report said the opposite. Nurse Mitchell displays high resilience ... No suicidal ideation. Excellent mental health. Recommended for promotion. It was a lie. The official report was a lie. Then, the witness statement. Emma's stomach clenched. Witness, Claire Thompson, RN. Narrator's voice is a younger, terrified. Claire, I couldn't sleep. I went to the roof for some air. I saw Sarah. She was standing on the ledge. I called out to her. But she turned, looked at me, and stepped off. She jumped before I could reach her. She was alone. I was the only one there. Claire was there. Claire saw it. Or she was the official witness. Emma's hands were numb. She kept digging. Visitor logs. August 2005, ICU. Her finger traced the names. August 12th, 13th, 14th, 11:45 p.m. Visitor, Dr. David Chen, Sinan. She scanned the sign-out column next to his name. It was blank. He'd signed into the ICU on August 14, 2005. He never signed out. He had vanished. Right here, inside these walls. Oh my God, Emma whispered. This was it. This was the proof. She pulled out her phone, her shadow long and distorted on the wall. She had to photograph this. She aimed her camera at the visitor log. The lights in the room flickered. Once, twice, and then went out, pitch black. A darkness so absolute it felt like velvet pressing against her eyes. The only sound was her own, shallow breathing. The air temperature plummeted. She could see her own breath, a small white plume in the beam of her phone's flashlight. Click. A sound from the corner. The sound of a metal filing cabinet drawer sliding open. Squeak. ... Who's there? Emma called out, her voice a pathetic tremor. Tom? Is that you? Silence. She aimed her flashlight beam. The archives were empty. But a single drawer, one she hadn't touched, was now open. The lights flickered back on, buzzing angrily. Emma stared. On top of the cabinet, right where she had been working, was a new file folder. A thick manila folder, black with age and water stains. It hadn't been there a second ago. She approached it as one might approach a sleeping snake. Handwritten on the tab, in the same spidery, blue-black ink as the notes, was a label. Lazarus Protocol Subject Number 13D. Chen. This was impossible. The file felt wrong. It was damp, not just old, but damp, as if it had been stored in a flooded basement. It left a wet, dark rectangle on the desk. The smell of mildew and ozone was overpowering. Her hands, slick with a cold sweat, opened the cover. The first page was a medical consent form. Project Lazarus, a study in transitional consciousness. And at the bottom, a signature. David Chen, MD, PhD. It was his. She knew that signature from 1,000 birthday cards and permission slips. It was her father's. She flipped the page. A detailed, highly technical description of the protocol. Phase 1. Subject is brought to a state of induced clinical death via a proprietary cocktail of potassium and beta blockers. Phase 2. Consciousness is monitored via experimental EEG and quantum resonance imaging. During the transition phase. Phase 3. Resuscitation after 10 minutes of asystole. 10 minutes. The standard window for resuscitation was 4 to 6. 10 minutes was permanent brain damage. Or just ... permanent. Then, brain scan images. Dozens of them. Her father's brain. Before, after. And next to his signature on the consent form, a handwritten classification. Subject status. Voluntary. Investigative purpose. Undercover documentation. Emma's knees buckled. She fell against the filing cabinet. He wasn't a victim they dragged in. He wasn't Subject 13 because they made him. He volunteered. He had been investigating Cross, and when he hit a wall, he decided to go through it. He signed up. He willingly let them kill him, just so he could get the proof. He was a hero. And a fool. A brave, idiotic fool. Tears streamed down her face, hot and angry. This wasn't a mystery anymore. It was a suicide note. Tucked into the back of the file was a small, folded piece of stationery. His handwriting. My dearest Emma, if you are reading this, it means I failed. I didn't survive the procedure, but I had to try. Cross is not just playing God. He is breaking something fundamental. The things I have seen, ... They are not just killing people. They are trapping them. This research must be stopped. I know this will hurt you, but please know, I did this for you. For your future. I love you more than anything. She crumpled to the floor, her sobs muffled against the cold metal cabinets. He was dead. All this time, ... he had been dead. He'd died right here. She sat there, in the dust, in the dark. For how long? A minute? 10? Crackle. Seize. The hospital's overhead PA system, silent at this hour, burst to life with a sound like a lightning strike. A distorted electronic voice echoed through the sub-basement. Dr. Chen, ... to ICU. Dr. Chen, to ICU. It wasn't a request. It was a summons. Emma's blood ran cold. Dr. Chen. It was a phantom call. A ghost in the wires. Or ... Was it a warning? She scrambled to her feet, wiping her tears. Her grief instantly replaced by a new, sharp terror. Bed 6. The Lazarus subject. Her patient. She ran. Emma burst through the ICU doors, her lungs burning. It was chaos. The patient in bed, subject 6, was coding. His monitor was screaming. A flatline asystole. He just crashed. Jenna yelled, her hands already flying, starting compressions. He was fine 1 minute, and just flatlined. Tom was bagging him. Dr. Rivera was there, having materialized from the on-call room. Push one of epi, Rivera commanded, his voice a sharp, clinical bark. Epi in, Emma said, her training taking over. She grabbed the syringe, injected it into the man's central line. Jenna, stop compressions. Checking rhythm, Rivera ordered. The monitor was stubbornly, horrifyingly flat. Again, full round, Rivera said. They worked on him. For 20 minutes, they did everything perfectly. They were a machine. Epi, bicarb, calcium. They shocked him twice, his body jerking on the bed, a grotesque, electric dance. Nothing. The monitor remained a perfect, unwavering green line. All right, Rivera said, his voice heavy. He looked at the clock. Time of death, 2:15 a.m., 2:15 a.m., the exact same time as the blackout. The exact same time as the note. The time SAR said the veil was thinnest. Jenna and Tom looked defeated, but it happened. Patients died. But Emma was watching Dr. Rivera. He wasn't just sad. He was relieved. His shoulders, which had been tense, visibly sagged. Families on their way, Claire said, appearing at the doorway. They'll want to know about an autopsy. I'll handle it, Rivera said, a little too quickly. It's not necessary. Complications from the myocardial infarction. Very straightforward. An autopsy would be ... redundant. He was blocking it. Why? Emma's mind was racing. He was fine 1 minute, and just flatlined. She slipped over to the patient's terminal. She checked the medication log. Epinephrine, fentanyl for pain, a heparin drip, and one more, a manual override entry. Time, 2:08 a.m. Drug, LD13. Dosage, 10 milligrams, administered by J. Rivera, MD. LD13. That wasn't a drug. It wasn't in the hospital formulary. It sounded like Lazarus drug 13. She walked straight to Rivera, who was washing his hands, his back to her. What is LD13? Rivera froze. His hands stopped moving under the water. He turned, slowly. His face was pale, his eyes wide with a terror she now recognized. You need to stop, he whispered. You need to stop, right now. Forget you saw that. You killed him, Emma said, her voice a low, shaking accusation. He was a Lazarus subject. Number 6, and you killed him. I didn't kill him, Rivera hissed, grabbing her arm, pulling her into the supply closet. The door hissed shut. I freed him, that drug ... It's a failsafe. To counteract the protocol. To let them ... go. He was in pain, Emma. He was still trapped in it. You know, Emma whispered, her mind reeling. You were there. In the photo, you were part of it. I was a resident, Rivera said, his voice cracking. I was subject 9. They ... They made me. I was one of the ones who survived. I've spent 20 years trying to fix what Cross broke, trying to free the ones I can. He let go of her arm. Your father? He said, his voice thick with an old guilt. He was a hero. He came to me. He knew I was a subject. He was trying to help me. And they took him. He's dead, Emma said. The words like ash. Yes, Rivera said. He died on that table. I was there. I'm sorry. He walked out. Emma stood in the closet, the smell of bleach and gauze overwhelming her. He was dead. Rivera said so. But the file. The PA system. She walked, numb, back to the empty bed. 6. The nurses were cleaning it. On the bedside table, where the man's chart had been, was a single, folded piece of paper. The blue-black, spidery ink. Sarah's handwriting. He wasn't supposed to wake up. Now he's free. SM? 3 a.m. The patient from bed 6 was gone, taken to the morgue. But Emma couldn't let it go. Rivera's story. It was too neat. A drug to free them. It sounded like a justification for murder. She went to the security station. The same guard was on duty. Again, she said. The guard just sighed and logged in. Which camera? I see you. Bed 6. Show me 2 a.m. to 2:20 a.m. The footage played. Grainy, silent. She saw the patient sleeping. She saw Dr. Rivera enter at 2:08 a.m. He leaned over the patient, out of the camera's main view, but she saw him inject something into the IV line. She saw him leave. She watched the clock in the corner of the screen. 2 hours 14 minutes and 58 seconds. 2 hours 14 minutes and 59 seconds. The footage jumped. A 2-second gap. A digital corruption. When the footage resumed at 2 hours 15 minutes and 1 second. The patient was flatlining, and the alarms were just beginning to sound. Wait, Emma said. Go back. Right at the jump. 2 hours 15 minutes and 1 second. Freeze it. The guard froze the frame. Zoom in there. In the corner of the frame, standing in the shadows of the empty space, bed 13, was a dark shape. A smudge on the lens. It's nothing, nurse. Just, distortion from the surge. Enhance the audio, Emma ordered. Right at 2:15. I want to hear it. The guard unmuted the feed. The sudden blaring sound of the code blue alarm filled the small office. I don't hear nothing but the alarm, the guard said. Filter it, Emma said, her voice insistent. Filter out the high-frequency alarm. Boost the low end. The guard, grumbling, manipulated the equalizer. The alarm screech faded, replaced by a low, digital hiss. And underneath it, a voice. A woman's voice whispering. So faint, it was almost just a breath on the microphone. Help them, Emma. Help them, it was Sarah's voice. Emma didn't run home. She didn't wait. Her shift was over, but she wasn't leaving. She hid. She found an old supply closet, deep in the ice, near bed 13. The door had a small, grated window. She turned off the lights and she waited. The day shift arrived. The noise, the light, the chaos. She waited. The day shift left. The night shift arrived. Claire, Tom, Jenna. She waited. Midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m. Her body ached. She was dehydrated. Her mind felt thick and slow. Maybe I am crazy. Her Apple Watch vibrated. 2:14 a.m. She pressed her face to the cold metal grate of the closet door. 2:15 a.m. The air in the ICU changed. The temperature plunged. She felt it even in the closet. The metal grate was suddenly as cold against her cheek. Her watch, which had a temperature sensor, flashed a warning. Environmental temp 45.0 F, and she saw her, standing in the empty space of bed 13, a figure. Translucent, blue-white, and flickering, like a bad fluorescent light. A woman in a 1990s nurse's uniform. It was Sarah Mitchell. Emma recognized her from the photograph. She was not looking at Emma. She was looking at the floor where the bed should be, her face a mask of unimaginable grief. Then, ... She turned. She looked directly at the supply closet. Directly at Emma. Her eyes were hollow, dark pits of static. Her mouth opened, and though Emma could hear nothing, she saw her lips move. A clear, 3-word sentence. Read the journal. Then, all of it. The last entry. And she was gone. Emma's phone, which had been recording audio from her pocket, captured it. Not a whisper. A clear electronic voice, as if from a bad speaker. Read the journal. Emma ran. She didn't bother clocking out. She ran out of the hospital, into the 3 a.m. darkness, her heart a drum against her ribs. She burst into her apartment, locking the door, her bag clattering to the floor. She ripped the journal out. She had photographed the pages, but she had never read the last one, the one Sarah had written just hours before she died. She flipped to the back. The handwriting was a frantic, terrified scrawl, the ink splotched and smeared. Narrator's voice, as Sarah, filled with final, desperate terror. August 15th, 2005, 1:30 a.m. I can't take this anymore. Cross threatened my family. He knows I know. But I've hidden the evidence. A USB drive. All the experiment recordings. The real ones. It's in the hospital chapel, ... behind the statue of St. Catherine. If anyone finds this, please, retrieve that drive. The truth must come out. There were 13 subjects. 10 died horribly. 3 survived, but they are ... broken, changed. But subject, #13, ... Dr. Chen. His experiment went wrong. He didn't die. Rivera lied to me. Cross lied. He's trapped. They're keeping him. In the sub-basement. Level B3. The old neurology wing. In room 13. His consciousness is caught between life and death. He's the anchor for all the others. Cross is using him, a battery, to continue the experiments. I'm going to free him tonight. If you're reading this, I probably failed. Sarah Mitchell. Emma stared at the page, the world dissolving around her. Rivera had lied. Sarah died trying to save her father. And her father was still here, trapped, alive, in some horrifying way, for 20 years in the darkness beneath the hospital. He's alive. For 20 years, Dr. David Chen has been trapped in the dark, an anchor for the lost souls of St. Catherine's, and his daughter, Emma, now knows where he is. But what he's waiting for her in the sub-basement, and who will try to stop her from reaching room 13. The story of the night shift journals will continue in episode 3, The Chapel. Be sure to subscribe and turn on all notifications so you don't miss the descent. But for now, the immediate danger has passed. The adrenaline can fade. The shift is over. Your part, for tonight, is done. It is time to let the darkness be a comfort. Time to let the silence be a blanket. We now begin our 30-minute black screen sleep aid. There are no more jump scares. No more revelations. There is only the sound of my voice and the stillness of the night. Let the details of the story settle. Let your breathing slow. You are safe, you are home, and you can rest.